A very pleasant good evening to you as we welcome you from the Tower Grill on the campus of Arizona Christian University for the Storm Report, episode number 21 for March 28th, 2022. I'm your program host, Kevin Derryberry. My broadcast partner this evening is our SID at Arizona Christian University, Mr. Tim Gooszen. Tim G, as I like to say. Tim, welcome in on this Monday night. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Thanks for having us. We're always excited to get another episode of the Storm Report under our belt.
No doubt about it. Always exciting. And just to kind of recap, going through some of the other shows, always great coaches, great guests, and let's be honest, some great conversation to go right along with it.
Oh, the broadcasters are phenomenal on all the shows. You know, the other people are okay, but the broadcasters are fun.
Tim is right on the money once again. It clearly goes without saying. The broadcaster is always top-notch. As Pete Dreyer does, Dr. Dreyer, each and every Monday, he sends out an email and just kind of informs everybody what's happening around the campus. And this week, no different to other new exciting adventures here on campus. The lights are they're up. They're functioning. The place is lit at night, Tim, and that is right there. Just thinking about the evolution of the campus and where we're going and where we've been, it is incredible to see electricity, some juice flowing over here at Firestorm Field.
It's exciting to see the lights, and here's a little fun fact for you. There's only one switch to all those lights right now, so they're either all on or they're all off.
Okay.
They're still working out which one controls what and doing all that. But, so right now it's light them all up or don't have any on.
Very good. We call that electrical logistics, if there's anything such a thing. But anyway, a lot going on today's program. We're going to talk a little basketball with arguably one of the top teams in the country. I'll homer up if I need to. I still think my Firestorm are clearly top five. They finished out fourth. We'll get the final rankings here probably in a week or so. A gallant effort for Jeff Rudder's team. You talk about leaving it all on the floor in Kansas City. You run out of superlatives when you talk about the basketball team and what they accomplished this year.
Well, having been around NAIA basketball for 15, 16 years like I've been, and I made several trips to Kansas City, everybody talks about turning the weekend. Everybody talks about you show up, and back in the old format when you didn't have the opening round, everybody showed up and you were playing double days, like 8 games a day in the first 2 days, and then you're down. And everybody talks about if you turn the weekend, like that's a big deal. Well, of course, the Firestorm turned the weekend. They played in the semifinals. Played what ultimately ended up being the national champ. So you can't really say too much like, oh, man, we lost. You did lose. The Firestorm did lose, but valiant effort. Again, you turn the corner, you make the weekend, you're playing in the semifinals. Can't argue with that.
And that semifinal appearance was the first in the program's history. 31 wins, the most ever in school history. So a lot to talk about. We'll talk with men's assistant basketball coach Hudson Welty on the program, and we'll get into some specifics about the basketball team. Who's leaving, who's coming back, and I tell you what, the cupboard is loaded. Again, we've got great guys. We're not even talking recruits, but just the guys that are returning. You talk about character people. They're strong in the room with this men's basketball program. So we're going to have some fun talking with Huddy about that. We're also going to take it to the Diamond. We're going to talk a little softball with head coach Mike Mayben. And we're also going to talk with Mike Mayben's assistant. Taelor Tracy is here. She's going to be on set. So we're going to talk a little softball with Taelor as well. And tell you what, the softball program, they're rocking and rolling. They got a big date with Hope International this week at Firestorm Field. But that GSAC race is tightening up, Tim.
Well, we made it through halfway in the GSAC conference going through softball. And right now the Firestorm are tied. A little tight for second, but there's 4 teams tied for second place. Everybody trying to chase down William Jessup in the second half of the conference season. But that all starts Friday right there out at ACU softball field as a Firestorm host the Royals of Hope International.
We certainly extend the invitation to come on out, enjoy this incredible spring weather, and watch Mike Mayben's team go at it. Again, a lot at stake as we enter the play this weekend against the Royals from Hope International. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, conversation with Hudson Welty. We're going to talk basketball right here on the Storm Report right after this. Welcome back inside the Tower Grill on the campus of Arizona Christian University for the Storm Report, episode 21. I'm Kevin Derryberry alongside Tim Gooszen, and the man in the middle is Hudson Welty. He's the assistant men's basketball coach under Jeff Rutter. Now in his first year, Hudson, I mean, where do you begin with an incredible story of success and kind of almost unfinished business to a degree? You got a real taste of what it's like to be one of the top teams in the nation.
Yeah, it was incredible last 2 weeks on the road. Obviously dropped that one in the conference tournament, but then I think it was good for us because we ended up winning a bunch of games in the tournament, and you lose in the Fab Four in Kansas City, and our guys get to play a couple games there and just get to taste it. And with a lot of guys returning next year, we're hoping to make another run at that thing. So
no doubt about it. Think about the history in that building. We're talking about Kansas City, the Municipal Auditorium. It's been the home of the national championship for many, many years. I think I want to say 35, 40 years. It's been a long time coming.
It's an 82-year tournament. It's the longest running men's basketball continuous tournament. It's about 2 years longer than the Division I tournament. A little history for that. And it's probably been at Municipal for about 65 of those 82 years. There was about a 12-year stretch where it was at a different – it moved around, but it's been there most of the time.
It's not quite like Madison Square Garden, but it's the mecca of NAIA National Championship Athletics. And, that's homecoming for you, Hudson, really. What was it like to be able to go back home and be in your part of the country, but you also had so much at stake?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun showing the guys where I grew up, and obviously getting to play at Municipal again and coach on that floor after playing there as a player and getting to coach there last year as well. It was fun. It was surreal. And then getting a chance to make a run at a championship, you can't get much better than that. And the guys really, they played so hard, and it was a joy to coach all of them.
Tim, you're probably aware of this, but John Wooden's first ever title right there in that building. Guys like Wilt Chamberlain have played the round ball inside that building. Ton of nostalgia. Great opportunity for our program to be there and get that experience.
Yeah.
Well, Hudson, you got to spend a lot of time away from ACU. When you left ACU, you headed to Florida, and then you, of course, won the Florida bracket there and ended on going to Kansas City. And instead of coming home and getting jet-lagged and all that stuff, you guys went straight to Kansas City. Rolls up in Sunday, and you were telling us just now, you got to spend time at your family's house, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we didn't book flights to return to Phoenix from Florida because we were expecting to go to Kansas City. With our group, so we
love that planning there.
Yeah, come on. And so we flew out of Tampa on that Sunday morning and flew up to Kansas City with no hotels booked. And my parents live right close to the airport, and we got to stay there for a couple hours before we got our hotels booked. So it was fun. It was crazy 2 weeks, but it was worth it. So.
Oh, I thought you were about to tell us all whatever traveling party you had, 20 guys or whatever you had, were all stacked up in your room with bunk beds. And
we piled in the basement, and we turned on some hoops and hung out, so had some good food.
Imagine that. You guys watched a little basketball, huh?
You got to.
How
it's the best time of year.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to some of those games within the tournament. Clearly, the season you took a funky turn in the GSAC tournament. You played a really good Westmont team. They were playing on an uptick. They were playing great basketball, and they only had the freshman of the year in the conference of Mr. Mytoff. So you're going against some strong competition there. Anything that you're going to play in the tournament is going to be they're going to give you fits. They're going to be battle tested. Didn't work out so much, but gave you a chance to kind of focus on the bigger picture, which was the national championship. And you guys were able to take care of business. You took care of Tougaloo early on, 76-61. Then you beat Xavier, and then Bethel. Okay, great wins all across the board. Earned them, gritty wins. Angelo played well. Your whole team played great. Robbie Wilson was exceptional. Kevon Williams had a fantastic tournament. But then you get to that game where you had a chance to maybe play William Jessup or your old school Indiana Wesleyan. Before that game, take us through your thoughts and how you were kind of preparing for that from a mental approach.
Yeah, we were prepping for both teams. Obviously, that's what you do tournament play. Me personally, I wanted to play Jessup just because the Iowa guys know them really well. Knew they had a big fellow that would be really tough to stop. And we, as a staff, we really liked our matchup with Jessup, having been familiar with them in GSAC play, playing them twice already and beating them. And that's what ended up happening. They ended up beating Westland pretty good. And we got a chance to.
Did that surprise you at all? That William Jessup took care of business against Wesleyan?
They just they shot the crap out of the ball that night, and Wesleyan kind of came out flat and just couldn't get their feet under them. They ended up making a run at the end of that game to make it close, but Jessup pretty much had control of that game. So our minds immediately shifted to those guys and prepping our guys for a familiar foe. Which ended up being really good for us on that Elite Eight game on Saturday. Just being able to play against a team on a quick scout, knowing all their stuff that they run and their player personalities and how they like to go. So it was good for us.
One thing you always worry about is when you play a team 3 times, though, you've beat them twice.
Right.
Somehow, and I talk about this with a lot of people, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
You have won 11 straight against William Jessup. William Jessup is a perennial ranked team.
Right.
William Jessup is a always going to be at the tournament type team.
Yep.
And ACU has rung their bell 11 times.
Yeah.
Like, we play Menlo and a team that doesn't go to the tournament, and we drop games to Menlo, yet we go to Jessup and we beat them. How tough is that beating a team 3 times?
Hey, throw in the word consecutive for me, because it's 11 consecutive times. That's just amazing.
It is pretty crazy how many times we've beaten those guys. But credit to Lance. He's a great coach. Gets really good players there. But for some reason, our matchup with them is more favorable than maybe other matchups in our league. And obviously they have some pretty elite guard play, and we like our guard play. And then we obviously have Bryce Davis and Xander Bowers and Robbie Wilson in the post, which I think that was kind of our separator against those guys. They didn't really have anyone who could guard Bryce down low. In all 3 of the games we played them. So credit to Lance, though. He gets some good dudes there, and they play hard. But for some reason, it's just been a favorable matchup for us over the course of the last 4 or 5 years.
It's a good point that you mentioned Bryce Davis. He had an exceptional tournament, like everybody did. You and I talked a little bit earlier, 1 through 15. We really couldn't pick out one guy or the other. All 15 came in, practiced well, prepared well, and played well in the postseason. So a lot of fun there. But Bryce Davis did receive a little love from the NAIA, all-tournament selection in the NAIA for Bryce Davis, a returning letterman. Congratulations to Bryce Davis. Buckets, I like to call him the big fella. That's just phenomenal when you can be selected among his peer group there with a lot of great players. Loyola had a couple of them on their own, right? But Bryce Davis received some recognition and well-deserved.
Yeah, he's a bucket on the block. We were actually looking at numbers today. He gets fouled 1 out of 4 times he catches it. So he gets to the line, which means his efficiency is going through the roof, and he's hard to stop getting to his left shoulder there on the block. So he's a stud. We're glad to have him back for another year, and he's going to get better over this offseason and hopefully be an All-American candidate for next season.
Well, speaking of All-American candidates, you got A.J. Johnson picking up that. Angelo.
Second-teamer.
Second-team All-American. And that just tells you kind of about your team. You go to the semifinals of the tournament, you get one guy as an All-American. And you go, man, what happened there? But it's just because you're so balanced. I mean, that's
AJ,
really what boils
he
down
averaged
to.
12 points a game and was the second-team All-American. So that just shows a credit to our depth and how good we are. If our leading scorer is at 12 points per game, he's an All-American. That just shows you we're deep, which was a benefit to us all tournament long. So,
I heard a quote from Rudder. He was in one of the post-game interviews that he did. He talked about people were talking about the quick turnaround, and Jeff was like, we're not really worried about that because we don't have guys that play 40 minutes a game. We don't have guys that we depend on that like they have to get us 25 points. We got 6, 7, 8 dudes that can go for 12 to 15 on any given night, and that's about, by the time you do the math on that, there's your average.
And over the course of the season, that's what happened, right? We'll have a guy who plays 15 minutes a game, like a Marcus Green, he'll come in against Jessup at William Jessup and score 10 points in 8 minutes of action. Like, we've got different guys who can bring it on different nights, and that's just how we roll.
6 for 6 shooting, too, for Marcus.
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy game, so...
Tons of depth. You mentioned Angelo, Defensive Player of the Year in the GSAC Conference 2 times running, too. So Angelo gets it done on both sides of the ball. He's just one of those guys you can't teach a lot. He just comes in prepared. I can't imagine a guy, you might win by 20. Angelo might have a 10 and 8 kind of game, And then the one guy that's getting in some work after we're all ready to go home, Tim's packing things up.
Yeah.
We're cleaning house, and Angelo's out there putting shots up. That's the
He
kind
wants
of
to be
relentless,
great.
tireless worker he is.
He's unbelievable. He wants to be great. He leads by example, leads with his work ethic. He was in the weight room today, you know, a week after getting back from the national tournament. I'm sure he was in the gym last week too. He's just a different type of dude when it comes to getting his work in, and he's a professional, and he goes about it that way. And that just makes him so fun to coach because he's always looking for ways to get better.
Does he ever drag you along every time he wants to go shoot? Hey, coach, come out and shag balls for me.
We'll get a
rebound
text
for me?
at random times on the weekend. Hey, coach, can you unlock the gym? So we're sending someone over there to open it up for him, make sure he's getting his reps in. So,
Angelo, if you need someone to rebound for you, give me a holler. If I got nothing to do, I'll come rebound for you, my friend. I appreciate and applaud his work ethic. And
Yeah.
you can see it, Patrick Fisher, other guys
Yep.
have picked up on that vibe, and they come out, and they too want to get their work in as well.
yeah, for sure. Leads by example, and guys follow suit. So we're excited to have him back for another year.
Hudson Welty, the men's assistant basketball coach, joins us here. An incredible run for the team. Coach Rudder, also the GSAC Coach of the Year. So, you come in your first year. You guys you've done a lot of things. Have had a lot of success in your first year as an assistant here at Arizona Christian.
Yeah.
What do you make of it all?
I mean, it's a credit to Trey and Josh, the previous two assistants who were here. Those guys recruited most of our roster and had relationships with those guys. And me and Coach Ochen came in, and maybe we changed a couple of things. But you have Coach Rudder at the helm, who's been doing it for a long time, and he's probably a future NAIA Hall of Famer at this rate if he keeps going like he is. And it's pretty easy to step into a program when Coach Rudder's the boss man, and you got players like we do. So credit to our players, credit to Josh and Trey, and obviously Coach Rudder for being elite at what he does, X's and O's, and communicating with our guys. He's one of the best.
No question.
Next year, you're looking ahead to next year. Obviously, great success this season.
Yep.
When you look at your starting lineup, you should return 3 of the 5.
Yep.
And when you add in your first guy off the bench, he's gone. So
Yep.
basically half of your starting 6
Right.
are gone.
Yep.
What does next year look like? What kind of dude you got?
If I could, let's give those 3 that you're projecting a little bit. So Angelo is one of those
Yep.
guys, right?
AJ will be
Davis.
back. Bryce will be back.
Should be Flowers, right?
And then Dennis Flowers will be back. And then obviously you have Dom, Gonzalez, Paul Hayden, Marcus Green off the bench. What's that? That gives us 6.
Kevon Williams will be back.
Kevon Williams will be back. He's going to be in the running to start as well next year. So, I mean, we'll have a good mix of guys competing for those 2 starting spots. And then obviously with recruiting, we're hoping to bring in a couple of guys who could be game changers as well. But we think if we take out recruiting, we have a top 10 team going into next year right now with the guys on campus right now. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun offseason, getting better. Hopefully guys taking some strides in different areas of their game and in their in the weight room and different things, and come back ready and more hungry to go next year. So
How is your transition as a coach different than it was as a player? When you were a player and you were going from my sophomore year to my junior year, now I'm going junior, senior year. Now you're a coach.
Right.
How does that preparation change? Obviously, you're not getting shots up.
Right.
But, like, what does that do as you transition seasons for you?
Yeah,
as
I'm
a
still
coach?
a young coach, so still learning. But each offseason you want to kind of see where you're at, what you've learned, what you need to learn, maybe areas that you're weak in that you can hone in on, and then areas that you're strong in that you need to keep building on. So it's very similar. I was a business major, so we talked about SWOT analysis, looking at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So as a coach, I'm doing that. With our guys, we're doing that. And hopefully as players, as we go into postseason meetings here, we're looking at these different things and how they can get better. And as coaches, we're doing the same thing.
Tim, you got that, right? SWOT analysis.
Yeah, I knew exactly what he was saying. Yeah, where were you, Kevin?
The first 2 he hit, I'm like, that's 2 for 2. Those
Boom.
are the 3 I had. SWOT analysis. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get that everywhere. Only on the Storm Report where you get that kind of knowledge drop right here from our guy Hudson Welty. Hudson, I had to bring it in as we're going to start talking some softball here in a minute. But the Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs thing. I mean, just where are we at? Is it bittersweet or?
It's bittersweet. It was time, I guess. He needed to get paid, and the Chiefs don't have money. So they got rid of him, and he signed a deal that's kind of crazy, quarterback money in Miami.
Is it because they don't have any money because they gave it all to Patrick?
They gave him a good chunk of change, that's for sure. So
I tell you what, that's the NFL offseason has been so bizarre, Tim. But we don't want to lose the focus of what we're talking about here with Hudson and Welty. But another thing, I know you guys some tweets out there. You're paying homage to restaurants that you guys were visiting. What was the food like out there? We always hear about the barbecue. You've lived in this. You were raised in this environment. So did you guys get introduced to the right setup?
Yeah, there's a running joke with one of my buddies that Kansas City has the best Chinese food in the country. So we didn't have any Chinese food. We had a ton of barbecue. Our guys were probably barbecued out by Wednesday of the tournament week.
You can actually have too much brisket and ribs, huh?
Yeah, burn ends is what to get when you go to Kansas City. Go to Jack Stack or go to Arthur Bryant's and get you some burn ends. That's the way to go.
Tim, I don't know about you, but those are my wheelhouse. Burnt ends are in my wheelhouse.
Come on.
I like the brisket and the ribs myself.
Yeah.
Leave the burn ends for you guys.
Yeah.
I've been to both of those places, by the way, on trips to Kansas City.
They're good.
Good eats.
We got to mention Robbie Wilson.
Yeah.
Robbie, all GSAC 2 times running.
Mm-hmm.
My guy, Robbie Wilson, the pride of Pima Community College, did so much on this campus as a leader on and off the floor. We're going to miss Robbie Wilson, but he's got a bright future no matter what he elects to do. Continue studying, get into coaching, jump into broadcasting.
Yeah, he
continue to play professionally. What do you see for Robbie Wilson?
He'll do whatever he wants to do and be good at it. He's such a great dude. He's probably going to look at overseas options to play.
Okay.
But I really think he should coach. He's been helping us out with some different things, and he's just got that coaching mind, that coaching heart, and he's going to be good at it. And he's been just such a fun dude to coach. Now he's old, which makes him fun to coach because he's kind of been there, done that.
He's a veteran guy.
He's a vet for sure. If he's listening to this, he's also a big.
He's a big vet.
He's a big vet, but he's been awesome, and we're going to miss him. His leadership, his communication. And he'll be good at whatever he does. So
we often refer to people as having it, right? The it factor. Does Robbie have that coaching intangible that you
for
can
sure,
see?
For sure.
He can articulate with just about anybody, can he?
Yeah, and you can see that with how he interacts with his teammates. He can be friends with the guy who doesn't talk at all on the team and be best friends with the guy who talks too much, which is probably him in most cases.
That's true. No doubt about it. Well, I'll tell you what, Hudson, class act to mention Trey Clarkson, TC, and Josh Cole. Those guys really were instrumental in laying down the foundation with all the other assistant coaches that have come through here. But great year for you, part of a 31-win team, most in program history, first team to ever reach the semifinals. We can go on with the superlatives, but congratulations to you, your basketball team, to Coach Rudder, and we're proud to have you here, my friend.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it and want to give you guys a thank you. Tim does a ton for the athletics department. You do a heck of a job broadcasting our game, so we appreciate you guys and all you do for ACU hoops, and looking forward to next season. So
yeah, I got to put this word in now, Tim. When we get to the postseason next year, let's find a way to go with these guys.
Let's go.
I was trying.
Come on,
flights didn't work.
We got to get there.
We were trying.
We got to get there. Let's talk a little softball. Mike Mayben is in studio. We're going to talk with the head coach of the women's softball team right after this. You're watching the Storm Report, episode 21. Right here from the Tower Grill on campus at Arizona Christian University. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Storm Report. My name is Kevin Derryberry. My broadcast partner tonight is Tim Gooszen. On the set is Mike Mayben, the women's softball coach, as well as Taelor Tracy, our assistant. Welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach Mayben, absolutely, Tim. Welcome back. Coach, your second visit here on the program, and when we first talked, you were just kind of putting your toes in the water. You were just starting to learn the real estate here, finishing touches on the field, finishing touches with recruiting, and just starting to kind of learn the environment. After the start of the season now, at 21-12, are you settling in? Are you starting to get acclimated? And it seems like the team's starting to move this way.
Yeah, we're excited about where we're at and where we can be in a few weeks. I think really the whole season has been focused on improvement and just growing as a team, making sure that when we get to the GSAC tournament, we give ourselves the best opportunity to be in a position to compete. And that automatic qualifier is out there, and it has to be won in the tournament. So we're going to be ready and be at our best when that time comes.
Well, Mike, you're in a good tie right now. You're in second place, but you're tied with 3 other teams as we turn the corner. We now are headed into the second part of the conference schedule. So you've seen all the teams now. You know what everybody has to offer. And when Hope International comes on Friday, you're going to see a lot of Valley Puente as the pitcher. You know you're going to see a lot of Skylar Mao as a hitter.
Yep.
And you know you're going to just see what they offer. Talk about the first half of the season in conference. Now we're turning into the second half.
Yeah, the first half was just what it clarified is, number one, William Jessup's on a great roll, and they're playing great softball. Just a lot of fun to kind of watch them. At Southern Oregon, we were able to play them just about every year, if not every year, and the opportunity to see them grow as a program and what Bree's doing there has been fantastic. But as a conference, the depth of the conference, or at least the parity in the conference, is evident, even all the way down to San Diego Christian right now in Menlo, who could easily be right there in that big tie for second or fifth place, depending on how you look at it. But that opportunity is right there for them. Menlo's, most of their games are 1 or 2 run ball games. They're not getting blown out by anybody. They're competing every game. So the parity within the conference is really evident that all the teams can compete. And if you give yourself a chance to be in the tournament, you're going to have just as good a chance as anybody to win that tournament, because these teams are very, very much in alignment in terms of their ability and what they have talent-wise.
Well, of course, that tournament's going to be played at the OC Great Park down there in Irvine, and it'll be kind of in conjunction with the baseball one as well, which is always a fun atmosphere. Softball field, I don't know if you've ever seen it from the Great Park. It opens up, and you can actually see the baseball field. It's across the parking lot, but you can see it. So, like, you can hear the roar of the crowd when things happen in the GSAC baseball tournament. You can hear the roar of the crowd when things happen in the softball side. So that's kind of a fun atmosphere. We talked about Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City. Going to the Great Park in Irvine, it's a great place to go play a conference tournament.
Yeah, I love environments like that where you get the opportunity to go and watch the baseball team play, especially when you have your team from your school and you can go support them. I know even when we were able to go to the World Series, just even being there for games that teams within our conference were playing and just having that camaraderie and that support meant a lot. So for our women's team to be able to go watch the baseball team or vice versa, it changes the environment. You get excited. You've got a fan base outside of just your parent group, and that's an exciting place to be. So I'm glad to know that the park looks like that.
It's kind of fun. It's a good place to play.
Coach, the Women's College World Series in softball is in Columbus, Georgia. Have you mentioned Columbus, Georgia in any kind of conversation as you kind of coach up, you continue to learn and grow with your young ladies? Have you mentioned Columbus, Georgia?
We haven't mentioned Columbus, Georgia, but we certainly haven't shied away from mentioning June 1st. So what we really emphasize is that we're going to play to compete together till the last day that we can compete together. June 1st is that date. That's the final date that any NAIA team gets to take the field. So in that respect, if we're competing to play to the last opportunity we get, that's the best we can do. If it winds up before that, then it does. I mean, God's got a bigger plan than all of this, and softball's a great game, but is not the end all, and one game can't define you. So the reality is, have we talked about Georgia? Well, in a way, we've talked about the fact that we know when that date is, and it's our goal to give ourselves the best opportunity to compete, to get that opportunity to make the trip to Columbus.
Taelor Tracy, the assistant to Mike Mayben on the women's softball team. Taylor, how long have you been with the program? I know Mike's been here for 1 year. How long have you been hanging out here at ACU coaching? Just 1 year as well?
1 year.
Okay.
So clarification, it's Taelor Tracy, but it's actually just formerly Taylor Mayben.
This
is my daughter, Taylor. So they got her and Zach got married this summer and moved here with Casey and I when we moved out, and it's really been a neat environment to be able to coach again with my wife and then have Taylor get a job but find out she's able to be at the field every day. And even Zach has had an opportunity to kind of help out on occasion and do all the bat testing, do all the dirty work that nobody else wants to do.
You mean you pass that on? What are you doing, Coach?
Absolutely.
And let's be honest, Coach, this is a rare dynamic, right? You've got your wife, you got your daughter there, and your son-in-law. You're all coaching up this softball team that's got 21 wins. How fun is this for
This
you?
has been a blast for me. Matter of fact, I was listening to a podcast this morning. It was Trent Dilfer and his daughter talking about the dynamic of, being a former pro football player and a coach, and then watching his daughter go on to Division I volleyball and now on to pro volleyball, and how proud he is. And as soon as Tim sent me the text, that was like the first thing I thought about was how proud I am of this kid, what she means to me and my wife, and just how proud we are to be able to come together and coach together as a family and do it. A lot of people have asked, well, how do you do it? We'd all kill each other. And instead, I think it really the dynamic, what Taylor brings, how much the players respect her and love talking with her. She's a great coach mechanically working with them and just knowing the game. And then sometimes it does get a little tough when I got to come home and she tells me all the things I did wrong. So we do have good conversations around the dinner table right now and talking about the game. But it's been a ton of fun to coach together and utilize our strengths, the individual strengths that we each have, and be on the field together.
Taylor, what are you trying to say to Dad, that you're a little closer in proximity, maybe age-wise, with these student athletes, or what?
Yeah, I can empathize a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
He
Taylor,
doesn't make many mistakes, but when he does, I let him know.
you played for your dad
Yes.
at Southern Oregon.
Yes.
And now you coach with your dad at Arizona Christian.
Yeah.
Which one was harder to do?
Playing
Playing
was
with your
hard
dad?
to do.
Okay.
Coaching's been. I mean, they both were. We had so much fun and no bad experiences. But coaching is a whole different. I don't know. It's fun to get to respect him in a whole new way and learn his brain a little bit more. What goes on in there?
A little scary.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
I think that's a good segue to my next question for you, Coach. And I want to just talk a little philosophy, if we could. Many coaches have different types of philosophy, whether it's a hitting prowess or it's defense or pitching or how you want to teach the game. It appears as though that maybe one of your strengths is teaching the game of hitting. Now, I could be guessing with that, but I just looked at some numbers last year compared to this year. And granted, the young ladies mature, they get better, they continue to work on the offseason, but the batting average as a team is 54 points higher than it was a year ago. What do you attribute that to, and is that part of your philosophy, is how you teach the game and how you teach hitting? And Taylor, you might want to address that as well, but what's the idea and the approach how to teach the game from an offensive point of view?
I think there's some consistency from last year, this year with Coach Gutierrez being in there and spending some time with them. But really, it's the buy-in. Our athletes have bought in. I think there's also a component of we have upped the number of reps that we get every single week. And the more we can get live reps, the better. So Val Vidal is showing up, and she's pitching at least once or twice a week. We're throwing a lot of field front toss. We're wearing out some softballs and breaking a lot of bats. And I think that makes a tremendous difference. And the biggest shift for the team in general was to go from just not having enough time, not having coaches that could be there as often, to coaches that are there every single day now and saying, yeah, we're hitting every day. We're gonna work on defense every single day, and we're going to do it efficiently. And the players just bought in, but they were hungry. Like, we had a hungry bunch of ball players that wanted to get better. I'll let Taylor talk a little bit more about what she sees. But I'm impressed. I mean, right now we're leading the GSAC. I'm going to steal that. I know Tim and I talked about it a little bit, but we're leading the GSAC in batting average, and it really is about their commitment to hit within themselves and not try to do too much. And that's important.
And I think he talked about how we came in and they were hungry, and they're still hungry. We're leading the conference right now, and they still want to keep getting better. And it's not. They're not in this place where they feel like it's good enough yet. And that's really cool to watch a team not kind of get in this place where we're halfway through the season and we're doing really good. So why continue to take so many reps? And why not take a few off? And they're in this place of just being so hungry to continue to climb the mountain. And it's awesome to watch, and it's really fun to be a part of.
It's really hard to say somebody has an off week when they hit 364 in a week. You have Claire Buckley, who's almost batting about 450, probably 460 by now.
477 as of today.
I know it was about 490, and then she batted only 364 this weekend. So most people would be like, man, I had a great weekend. And Claire, she's like, I was off. My game wasn't there. So how do you teach somebody like Claire, who like we talked about AJ for basketball,
right.
and he's a workhorse. As Kevin talked about, the game ends, and 15 minutes later, AJ's jacking up shots in the gym. And I know Claire is like that. What do you do with a player like Claire?
Well, you don't have to do a lot other than just give her opportunities to go out and work at it, right? I mean, I think that's what you're saying is that he's out there, he's working on it on his own time, and that's what she's doing. She's out there busting her tail and working at it. And it really becomes part of the mental game and being able to stay focused. My high school coach that then became a great mentor to me, he once came in after we were on a great run and just reminded me that it's a game of averages. And when you're hot, that's great, but be ready for the time that you're going to struggle where you're just hitting line drives. And like Claire this weekend, I think she had 2 or 3 line drives right at people that were caught, right? So that's going to drop her average because she's hitting so well that she would have to get all of those to fall in order to continue to raise a 470 batting average, and the reality of it. And the other is, and I think there was a moment there where we had a close call at home plate and was a little bit frustrated, and Claire just came over. She was the next hitter up. She goes, I got you, coach. Stepped up to the plate and hit a line drive down the baseline that scored that tying run and took care of business. So getting thrown out at home didn't matter, right? I mean, it ended up working out, but it was that kind of confidence in her to step up to the plate and go, Coach, I got you. I'm driving in a couple runs. We're good.
You got to have a good, what they call head space now, Tim, to think that way. To be, don't worry about this. I'll pick you up right here. To the tune of the National Player of the Week a week ago. And for Claire, she leads the nation in home runs, tied at 11. So she's providing the big-time average as well, but a lot of pop, and she's driving in runs as well. She's just been, really, for my money, a Player of the Year type candidate, Coach.
Oh, she absolutely is. And if you have looked at our field, it's a little bigger than most. So the reality that she is leading or tied for the lead in the country in home runs, and she's a leadoff hitter who hits line drives. She is not trying to hit the ball out of the park every time she gets up to the plate. She's trying to hit line drives, hit doubles, triples, get on base so that the rest of the lineup can drive her in. But some of those line drives are just hit so well that the park's not going to hold it. Yeah.
Technique, approach, repetition, all those things, that's what Claire brings to the table.
Absolutely.
And leadership to boot, right?
Yep.
Normally people aren't catching her balls. They're catching her.
Yeah.
They're catching what she hits because they just happen to be standing in the right place and the ball comes screaming at them and, thank you. I'll catch that. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
2 feet to the left or right, and she's already probably at third.
Yes.
We've given her some love for her offensive game, but starting shortstop, played most of the season last year at shortstop, was a Gold Glove winner in the GSAC conference. She brings that same type of intensity offensively as she does defensively as well.
Yeah, and I'd say this weekend, for all intents and purposes, if she had a lesser weekend at the plate, she made some incredible plays on defense. Plays in the hole that most players can't make that range and then throw it back across the diamond and get an out. She made 4 or 5 plays in the 5-6 hole that were incredible this weekend. And Taylor Alto at third is making the same plays going to her left and making incredible plays. Our defense has been a staple of what's given us success this year. I think we're second in fielding percentage in the conference right now and easily could be first.
Well, I know you got to be talking about one of those 5-6 hole plays. Go into the backhand, go down on one knee, throw a ball across the diamond and get a speedster going down the line. That was Claire Buckley against William Jessup. And the key to William Jessup is keeping their speed off the bases.
Absolutely.
That's the team that leads the conference by far in stolen bases by about 20, and then the next group is 40 down. So you want to keep them off the bases. So Claire made that game a lot closer. The scores looked a little skewed, but Claire made plays and so did Taylor. We get to see Vanguard on Saturday, and you and I were talking earlier today about, that we're number 2 as far as fielding percentage in the conference, and Vanguard's listed as number 1. I'm really interested to see what Vanguard brings that's anything different, I'm not expecting much because you don't really have much buffer there for somebody else to be better. Maybe as a unit, maybe they play a little bit better, but I mean, you got two studs on the left side that get it done.
Yeah, no, I'd say that'll be a defensive battle for sure. And what we've recognized about Vanguard from the time we started at the NAIA level coaching and playing is that they're disciplined, and they are very disciplined defense. So you're not going to get a lot of free bases from Vanguard, where there's a number of other teams you might be able to get some free bases along the way, take advantage of them, or even put pressure on them to create chaos. And with Vanguard, that it's hard to create chaos. We love that short game. We love to bunt a little bit, run, do those kinds of things. And it's a lot harder when you know that they're going to be disciplined. And that's what you'll see with Vanguard. And that's what also is good. They have two very solid pitchers that are equally a 1A, 1B kind of pitching. And so it's tough to get extra bases, and it's tough to get on base. We had a great outing against them when we were there, and when we're very hopeful and believe that we can have that kind of outing again. But it's going to be a tight game.
Coach, let's take it to the circle. Team ERA, 3.78. You got to have some pitching. Got to have someone that can eat up some innings. Someone that can get some people out. You have that in a couple of different ways, but leading the way is Savannah Smith, a 13-game winner. She was a guest last week. What a fantastic young lady. A lot of fun, great spirit. But she's a competitor as well, and it's nice to have that in the circle each and every week, isn't it?
Yeah, our pitching staff is working through a ton of stuff. They're getting better all the time. Savannah came from Skagit Valley and has just done an incredible job of being able to come in and be pretty consistent for us. And what we need from our pitching staff is to get a lot of ground ball outs. I mean, when you got a defense that's sitting there with that kind of fielding percentage, get us some ground ball outs, get some pop-up outs, and give us an opportunity to make plays. And when we're at our best, that's what we're doing.
Taylor, what do you see on the team that you just go, that's the one area that we got it, but we still got to get better, and got the second half of conference to figure that out?
Hitting. I think we've proven to be good at hitting a diverse range of pitching, but we're going to continue to see those pitchers getting better. And so we have to prove that while they're getting better, we're getting even better, and we're going to beat them no matter what.
My last one, and that's a great philosophy, and I totally, like 100%, right? Tim, you're like, yeah, I support that 100%. That's a great way to put it. I'm curious as far as the game day role is, the game day interaction. Coach, are you coaching over there at third base, or where's mom? And then how does the game day operation how do you facilitate that?
Well, I think we'd all admit the most important ones are Val and Coach Jimmy are doing the dirty work and getting things done. Val's calling pitches down there. Coach Jimmy's got our hitters and dialing in our hitters and stuff. But
Goody.
As far as
Zach has bats.
Zach's got the bats.
That's where it starts.
He makes sure the bats are out there and they're ready to go and they're all approved so that we're good there. But the dynamic amongst the family has been really, really neat. Taylor is a sounding board. She's in the dugout. Players are coming to her asking questions. Should I have done this? Could I have done that? What do you think of this situation or that situation? She does a great job. Casey is very much focused on making sure we all keep our heads together.
She's the mom.
Yeah, and making sure that we're staying positive and that we're staying focused on what we need to get done. One of the things that the dynamic for Casey and I over the years was, if we need to make a substitution or we need a pinch runner ready, I don't really have to do a lot because she's already got them set up. And then I turn and she goes, I got it. She says, I got it. They're already ready. Don't stress. Just stay focused on the field. And so all I have to do is go coach third and watch our hitters hit. And so it makes it pretty easy on me at that point.
Taylor, for you, my last thing for you. When you think of some comedy skits, you've heard my brother Daryl, my other brother Daryl, my other brother Daryl. All you got to do is say Taylor on the ACU softball team, and about four heads are going to turn your way because I've never seen a team that has so many of the same name on the team. How confusing is that for you, and how fun is that for you?
It's a lot of fun. I had other Taylors on my team at Southern Oregon as well, and so you get used to just the nicknames. Or I've become Coach Taylor, which is a first for me, and it's kind of cool. So they do. I think they have to call me Coach Taylor because then we'd all get confused. So that's cool, and it shows that I feel respected. But it's really fun hey Tay, hey Tay, hey Tay. Hey, Taylor. It's a lot of fun.
What movie's that from? That's a great line right there. My brother Daryl, my other brother
Isn't
Daryl.
it the Saturday Night
I
Live?
think it's Saturday Night
Yeah.
Live. That's good,
SNL?
yeah.
That's funny stuff right there. All right, Coach, the last one, Hope International. You guys touched on it briefly in our first part of our conversation. But GSAC conference game at home. Have you enjoyed the participation with the student athletes and then the fan participation? Are you enjoying the support here at home?
Yeah, it's been great. We get a good crowd to come out. We've got some parents that are just loud. We've got some fiancés that are really, really enthusiastic. Helen Hayes' fiancé is fantastic.
Sean Wallstrom, by the way.
Yeah.
Helen Hayes,
Basketball
number
player.
7 that you were asking about. Sean Wallstrom. They soon will be married eventually.
Okay.
Yes.
The backboard breaker, Sean Wallstrom.
Yes.
The pride of Estrella Foothills. Yes.
Yes, him.
Okay.
So we have a great group out there that keep things upbeat and excited, as well as our team just staying in that focused and energy. And softball's a little different than baseball in that they're loud, they cheer, they do all that kind of stuff, and our team has embraced kind of what that does for us in terms of energy and enthusiasm throughout the day.
If it makes you feel any better, I could hear your softball game at the FRC, Firestorm
Yes.
Recreation Center, right down the road. Of course, I had to leave Saturday to go handle our volleyball match that was going on, and I got out of the car, and I felt like I was still right at the softball game because the cheering was still being heard a half a block away.
All right.
Coach, it's been fantastic to have you on for the second time, and your softball team is ascending upwards, and with some great coaching with your wife and your lovely daughter here, Taylor, and of course your husband's participating. That whole bat thing, I know we kind of take it light and kind of joke about it, but with all the corruption in society right now, that bat thing, to have the right bats out there, that's a pretty significant role.
Nobody wants to do that, so I appreciate that Zach has taken it on and done it with some enthusiasm and does a great job so that the rest of us can all just focus on getting ready for the game.
He accepted the voluntold role, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like, you want to be around here? Then here's your job.
Here's the bat duty.
Here's what nobody else wants to do. Go for it.
One last thing, the Westfall Awards are coming up. You want to get your nominations in. I'm just guessing that there will be a few nominees on your softball team, Coach Mayben.
Oh, absolutely. We'll definitely see, Claire, some of our leaders, some of our spiritual leaders. I'm having a hard time on the end of we have some really great spiritual leaders on this team that just have taken young Christians under their wing, been able to keep us focused on Christ first and softball. Well, education second, family third, softball last, but they've done an amazing job. And to be honest, there's 3 or 4 names that we've kind of thought through, and I've actually talked to a few of the players and asked them to kind of give me some feedback on who would you put in that role. So I think softball will be represented well at the Westfall Awards, but we also know what a great season the women's basketball team, obviously the men's basketball team, soccer had a great year. There's just a number of different players and coaches who are deserving of those honors.
Tim, you and I have both been around here a long time, and I don't know that our program and our university has ever been in a better situation as far as coaching and leadership than we are right now. Coach Mayben and, of course, your daughter here, Taylor. It's just another example of that, but the coaching here on campus is just phenomenal. And the people and the leadership, you talk about the ideas for these young ladies and what they're doing spiritually and whatnot, but it starts up top, and you guys are setting a great example. So, again, phenomenal effort.
Thank you.
It's fun to be around. I get to see them every time they're at home. And I sit behind the backstop, and I don't flinch like my son did, I might add, in that baseball game the other day.
Hope International on the docket this week. Coach Mayben had a great point about the women's basketball. Rusty Rogers, phenomenal season for them. Alyssa Alvarez, I believe, confirm or deny, was a national player.
All-American.
All-American, first team, too. So for Alyssa, was she a first-teamer? Either way, it doesn't matter.
Honorable mention, I think.
NAIA All-American honorable mention at this school in the great state 48. That is a massive achievement, so congratulations, Alyssa. For Robert Nielsen and our great staff here with my broadcast partner, Mr. Tim Gooszen, for Mike Mayben and Taelor Tracy, it's been our pleasure. A special thank you to Hudson, Welty, and all the fellows we mentioned on the basketball program. It's been another fantastic program. It's our pleasure, and until next time, so long for now. Thank you.